Let's go across to Hong Kong, where more than 100,000 people held pro-democracy protest in a peaceful manner. This comes amid severe warnings by Beijing. Activists and police in Hong Kong have clashed several times in the past 11 weeks, but protests held this week were largely peaceful. In fact, earlier in the day, tens of thousands of protesters gathered for a mass rally from Victoria Park to the Chatter Garden in Hong Kong. For the first time, the police have banned the Civil Human Rights Front from holding a march from downtown Victoria Park to the Central Business District. However, police have granted permission for a rally at a park. Over the past 3 months, the Civil Human Rights Front have organized several demonstrations that drew millions of protesters. Meanwhile, armored vehicles and Chinese paramilitary personnel have been stationed at Shenzhen City, which borders with Hong Kong. The troops' deployment has raised concerns that Chinese is considering a military intervention in Hong Kong. Hong Kong had its first year gas free Saturday after weeks, but there were 3 separate rallies which took place in Kowloon. This is the 11th weekend of protest in Hong Kong, with protesters continuing to demand the resignation of Hong Kong Chief Executive Carrie Lam, democratic elections and an independent investigation into the use of force by the police. Over the past 2 months, marches often started out peacefully but descended into violence, with protesters clashing with the police, who used tear gas and rubber bullets to disperse the crowd. The unrest in Hong Kong, which began as a protest against an extradition bill, has now morphed into one of the biggest crises Chinese President Xi Jinping has faced since he took power back in 2012. On Sunday, a group of activists and Iceland officials bid farewell to what was once a glacier in Iceland. Climate change claimed its first ever tangible victim, an iceberg in Iceland. There you can see the visuals of the glacier when it was in its full glory. Now the glacier is called Jukul, which translates to OK Glacier. Rising temperatures due to global warming has claimed the life of this glacier. In 2014, scientists in fact stripped Jukul of its status. They declared it dead. Now it's merely a block of ice atop a volcano. About 100 people hiked for 2 hours to install a bronze plaque in honor of the glacier, which is now just called OK. This is the first such monument in the world. The plaque has the following inscription on it: a letter to the future. In the next 200 years, all our glaciers are expected to follow the same path. This monument is to acknowledge that we now know what is happening and what needs to be done.
Come on over,
only you know if we did it.
Get your hands in there.
So that was the message on that plaque right over there, which is being installed there on your screens. Now, Iceland's Prime Minister has in fact urged for international cooperation on an unprecedented scale as well. Listen in.
This is the first Icelandic glacier that's formally declared an ex-glacier. But if the predictions of the scientists, if we see them happening, we will see other glaciers disappear in the next decades and centuries, which is obviously a very big thing for our landscape, nature, ecosystem, but also for our energy system, because we produce renewable energies from the glacial rivers. I think it's so important for every leader of the world to be conscious of that we are seeing the faces of the climate crisis differently around the world, but it's the same crisis, and we need international cooperation on an unprecedented scale we really need to rethink the way we are working to meet this challenge.
Activists want a global climate emergency to be declared. They hope that this loss will be an eye-opener for the world. They say it is up to the humans to collectively respond to the rapid loss of glaciers.